When it comes to flooring, Gaston Floor Company in Gastonia is the place to go. They do it all, from hardwoods to laminates to refinishing to carpet and more. And they offer expert installation and competitive pricing. And now Gaston Floor Company has opened up a new showroom. You have a bigger selection of samples to choose from with name brands like Mohawk, Armstrong, Shaw, Bruce, and more. Take a step to a beautiful floor today by shopping the newly remodeled Gaston Floor Company, 914 Moose Street off East Franklin Boulevard in Gastonia. Visit them online at GastonFloorCO.com or call 704-824-7577.
It's time to play at the Kings Mountain Country Club. Play and ride on the new cart paths. Play and ride 18 holes Monday through Friday for $28. Seniors 55 and older can ride and play 18 holes Monday through Friday for just $24. Play and ride 18 holes on weekends for just $37. For tee times, call 704-739-5871 for the Kings Mountain Country Club, located on 109 Country Club Drive in Kings Mountain.
And good morning, Campers Inn Saturday Sports Talk. I'm Kevin Hastings, along with Texas Terry Ryan Hart, Pumpkin Evan Ludwig, or are we calling you Speedbump McGee Evan Ludwig? Is that what we're going with? Or Dookie Evan Ludwig, Coach K Evan Ludwig? Got all kinds of. He goes by Smoke. We're gonna go with Smoke. But had been a rough week this week for you, Smoke, in the sports world. Welcome Saturday morning. We're going to talk a little bit about that just a little bit later. We'll talk about the best ACC team in the league, or second best ACC team in the league, NC State Wolfpack, Terry?
No,
they're not the second best. Okay, we'll get into that, a little bit more about that. We've got NFL to talk about. Garoppolo now the highest paid player in the NFL. He'll be making more. He'll be making more in his 5-year deal than Tom Brady made in his career. He started 7 games, guys. Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. He'll get cut. So someone explain to me the NFL quarterback situation. We'll talk about how teams decide on quarterbacks in this league. We have no idea. We'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. NBA action trade deadline came by. Big news. Trades all around the league, well, mostly in Cleveland. Hornets had one trade, but the rest of them, most of the action was in Cleveland. We'll talk a little bit about that. Is Terry now scared of the Cavaliers is the biggest question. No, Terry says he's not scared of the Cavaliers. Is that this year or next year or ever?
That's this year. I don't think they'll be able to get this group to compete with Boston now.
All right, we'll talk about that as well. We got high school action from last night over in Gaston, Lincoln, and Cleveland County. And Terry, you want to start with some of your scores and highlights from last night in local basketball?
I can. In boys action last night, it was Lake Norman Charter defeating West Lincoln 82-56. Bandy's over North Lincoln 56-51. Maiden beats Lincoln in 46-44. Smoke and them were at that game. They said it come all the way down to the wire, and Maiden pulls out a victory there. It was East Lincoln over Newton Conover 66-50. In the boys standings now, East Lincoln is your conference champions at 13-1, 20-4 overall. Lincoln then comes in second at 11-3, 18-5. Followed up by Maiden, who finished 9-5. Lake Norman Charter and Bandy's 8-6. Newton Conover 4-10. North Lincoln 3-11, and West Lincoln 0-14. In girls action last night, it was Lake Norman Charter 55, West Lincoln 26, North Lincoln 61, Bandy's 44. Lincoln then wins the conference with a 39-38 win over Maiden, and Newton Conover over East Lincoln 60-51. In girls standings, Lincoln in 12-2, 17-6 overall. Jimmy Carr 117 in his career so far with the Lincoln Wolves. Maiden 11-3, 18-4. Lake Norman Charter 9-5, 14-9. Then followed up by Newton Conover 9-5, East Lincoln 8-6, North Lincoln 4-10, Bandy's 3-11, and West Lincoln coming in at 0-14. And Smoke, I know we mentioned this, and I'm also going to give him congratulations. Coach Lackey down at North Lincoln, I mean, 4-10, 10-12 is not what they're used to lately, but I think what a great job he has done down there. He is a career now 166 and 100 overall in coaching basketball.
Yeah, this is first year back as the girls coach. I mean, the 4 years prior, let's see, I think they only had 7 wins combined. They went on a 2-year losing streak at one point, and this core group of girls got it turned around this year. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. They might have to need some help, but still, overall, getting double-digit wins after what they've been through the last 4 or 5 years, it's quite an accomplishment in year one for Coach Lackey.
Yeah, now if they pull off a tournament win, that would be a bonus.
Do we have details on the start of that tournament or anything on that? Either one of y'all two?
They are meeting today. Both the girls and the boys are meeting today, I think, to officially get it. But the first round will be, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. It'll be at the higher seeds home court, and then the rest of the tournament will take place at Catawba Valley Community College.
In the girls' standings, it's Lincoln and Maiden, Lake Norman Charter, Newton Conover tied in third at 9-5. East Lincoln 8-6, North Lincoln 4-10, Bandy's 3-11, West Lincoln 0-14 in the conference play. They got their 2 wins though at a conference. The rest of them, Bandy's and North Lincoln just under 500. East Lincoln, Newton Conover 14-10, Lake Norman Charter 14-9, Maiden 18-4, and Lincoln 17-6. That's girls. In the boys, East Lincoln is in first, Lincoln in second, Maiden third at 9-5. East Lincoln was 13-1, Lincoln 11-3, Lake Norman Charter fourth at 8-6, Bandy's 8-6, Newton Conover 4-10, North Lincoln 3-11, West Lincoln 0-14 in conference, 1-21 overall. North Lincoln 8-14 overall, Newton 5-19, Bandy's 14-9, Lake Norman Charter 10-12, Maiden 16-7 overall, Lincoln 18-5, and East Lincoln 20-4 overall. So East Lincoln atop the boys, Lincoln atop the girls, Maiden in third in the boys, Maiden second in the girls, and that's your South Fork 2A standings headed into the conference. Good ball game last night, Smoke.
Both games really good. Looked up the name just to make sure who was the girl that hit the game-winning shot. Sophomore Kayla Smith banked in a 3. It looked like they weren't even going to get a shot off, but they got it to Kayla, and with about 2 seconds left, she banked it in, and that gives Lincoln the regular season conference tournament. You know, Maine came into this game with only 2 or 3 losses. Well, I mean, Maine could have even wrapped it up on Tuesday night, but they lost in an upset to Newton Conover on the road, and that made it a winner-take-all game for the regular season conference championship. And Lincoln, I mean, I think the lead in that girls' game didn't get bigger than 5 for either side, so it was really close for the whole way through, and it led to a great ending to the game. And the guys' game was just about the same as well. Maiden pulled out a win, even though Lincoln was down 12. They tried to come back and win, but they could never take the lead. And Mason High hit 2 clutch free throws to seal the game for the Blue Devils.
Well, over in Shelbytown last night, we had a South Point Shelby matchup. The girls was no matchup. Shelby girls with a huge win last night. In the standings for the girls, real quick, let's go through that. Southwest 2A girls, East Rutherford in first at 9-1, Shelby 8-2, RS Central 7-3, East Gaston 3-7, Chase 2-8, South Point 1-9, South Point 1-23 overall. Chase girls 3-18 overall, East Gaston 4-17 overall, East Rutherford 20-3 overall in first place, Shelby 14-8, RS Central 13-11, Southwest 2A action. That's the girls, like we said. Girls last night, Shelby over South Point, big last night in the girls action, and I can't remember the final score. It was a big score, and we had that. Britt Pasco was with me last night for the broadcast, as we also had the boys game, Shelby at South Point. Shelby jumped out to like 11-2 lead, I think is what they ended up, and then South Point pulls away 68-59 victory. They had, 5 people in double figures in a 68-point win, so that's spreading it around, isn't it?
I'm going to tell you, teams like that are hard to prepare for. If it's one guy or two guys, you can do different things. But when you've got 4 or 5 guys scoring in double figures, it's tough.
I think they were leading scores were 17, 12, and 3 10s. And there may have been, I think that's what it was. It was 17, 12, and 3 10s.
I'll take those teams every day over a team that has one guy scoring 30.
Well, and I mean, and this South Point team, these last few years, this has been their best run in basketball because they haven't.
Yeah, they went the furthest they've ever been last year that they've ever been in school history. And I think last year maybe even, I don't know if I said first time they've been to the 3rd round, I think, in school history, and they ended up making, I think, to the 4th. And they got a pretty good. We talk. A lot of these schools don't have big men. You get to 6'9", 6'10", you're good in basketball. You end up, a lot of these kids going to a prep school. They got a 6'6" Moses Newman who just, as much as the Hollyfield kid boys are, 6'3" and 240, he's 6'6" and long, and he was blocking shots and controlling the paint last night, and he had a good game. Shelby just missed a lot of open jumpers, missed some free throws. It's not like they just got. I don't think they got hammered or beat down or anything like that. They were 11-2. They started off hitting their shots, and then all of a sudden, it went cold. And like I said, they had a lot of open shots, and they just didn't hit them. Jaden Hunt's mid-range game last week was on fire. Moses Newman was, I think, affecting some of the shots. Jack Hollyfield, the freshman, Terry, 6'3", 230 pounds. You think Dak's big? Jack's actually, I think, going to be bigger when it's all over said. He might be. He's taller than I think. He's taller than Dax now. And the kids for South Point, they were kind of getting on him last night. Speaking of atmosphere, best basketball atmosphere of the night last night. I do want to mention that South Point brought a crowd and a big student section. Shelby's crowd was into it too, and the student sections were going back and forth. A lot of good chanting and everything. They kept it mostly clean. A couple of cops I talked to after the game told me, "Hey, I'm so glad we didn't have a fight tonight. Had to move a few people around here and there. Had a few dummies, wore some dumb shirts and stuff like that here and there. But other than that, it was pretty good, pretty fun game. And like I said, Shelby just couldn't get the shots to fall last night. And their team's just like South Point. They can put 5-6 people that scores 10 to 12, 15 points. I don't think either team has a guy that's going to drop 30, you know what I mean, unless it just gets really hot. So both of those teams will have to win by defense and shooting and free throws. And I think either team could have won that last night, but South Point with the win last night, I think, clinched the
no, they finished second.
Why was they clinching? Why was everybody
tied.
Tweeting about them winning the conference last night? And I was talking to Brent about that same thing. I'm like, there's 3 teams with the same record.
And I looked at that and I'm like,
South Point's 7-3 now too, so they both got the same record.
RS Central played Chase. Unless RS Central, something happened, I would not think they would have lost to Chase.
No, theirs is on there. 7-3 is right. They played 10 conference games. So we'll look up real quick. So RS lost to South Point. So South Point is the conference champion, and they won. They split. So I don't know how they ended up with that.
I guess they might be.
Maybe a share. Maybe that's what Richard was tweeting about. That they had a share of it, and I'll look that up exactly before.
That shows you how close this conference is. I mean, looking at everyone but Chase,
top to bottom.
Yeah, everyone but Chase.
Look at the record: 7-3, 7-3, 6-4, 5-5, 5-5.
Okay, my question. Will all 5 of them teams make the playoffs?
I don't know how that works, Terry.
See, I mean, neither. That's what I'm wondering, because you go 1 through 5, and when I'm sitting here looking at that, your 5th place team is East Gaston 5-5.
How many teams want to play Shelby out of a 4 seed or a 5 seed?
No, I wouldn't want to mess with that.
Out of that conference,
East Gaston ain't a pushover. East Rutherford's always been good. South Point has become a pretty darn good team, and RS Central. I mean, if they're on top of this conference and this conference team stuff, I wouldn't want to play anyone from the Southwestern 2A conference. I think it's actually more stacked than
that is the school's first ever basketball title. So I remember last year I said that first time they'd ever made a 3rd round. So this is the best run in South Point school history. So I want to congratulate them. Let me pull up the coach's name real quick because I can't remember about Cody Cubb, I think is what it is. Make sure I get that right. But he's known for his beard, and this year he's trimmed it up a lot lower. But yeah, Cody Cubbs with an S. Cody Cubbs and pretty good basketball coach. And last night he did a little bit of everything. I looked up one time, he's out in the middle of the floor wiping up sweat. We had more sweat timeouts because you got to remember who's on this court, right? So you got the Holyfields out here. So there are more sweat timeouts in a basketball game than I've ever seen in my life. I mean, there were bodies flying anytime someone attacked the basket, someone was either trying to charge or there was just park ball. We're going at it, slamming into each other. Somebody's hitting the floor. I mean, there was a lot of contact. Poor referees. They had some tough calls, but man, it had to be tough with all that contact, having to deal with that, Terry.
Yeah, I know all about every bit of that. Yeah,
you don't want to call a foul on every play, but at some point it gets tough, don't it?
Yeah, it gets really tough. And then you're hearing it from the coaches, you're hearing it from assistant coaches, you're hearing sometimes from a player, then you're hearing it from the whole crowd. I mean.
Jane Hunt had some good dunks last night. Do want to mention him. Senior night last night. Will Boykins, his son, was honored last night, senior. So congratulate to them. He's over there talking about his Crest Chargers here at Shelby Senior Night, and then Steve DeGree's walking around. Somebody made him a golden line shirt. It's pretty sweet. You guys got to see this. You'll see it at some point, I'm sure. But he's walking around with his little senior night T-shirt, and Steve's the MC over there. He's the hype man, if you believe it or not. So Steve gets it going over there at Shelby High School. But a tough night for the Lions. Couldn't finish it off. Like I said, I think 1 through 5, Terry. I think they're all deserving.
Oh, I agree.
That Shelby and East Gaston, they're going to want to win one in the conference tournament, ain't they?
Yes.
If they can do that, it's gonna. It might make a difference.
Well, I will say, at least for basketball, there are more spots that are filled in.
They are.
So that does, I think, help in a conference like this for East Gaston and Shelby to possibly get in. And it helps, like in the South Fork 2A, it's pretty stacked there. But I don't know if a Lake Norman Charter is going to get slighted because their overall record is below 500 right now. That's going to be interesting to watch. I think the South Fork at least will have the top 3 of East, Lincoln, and Maiden go in. And
but yeah, like good point, Smoke. Like, how are you gonna say Lake Norman Charter should get in the 4th spot when Shelby's 5-5 and 12-10?
Yeah, I mean they're both, and 12. And now they're both in the same division. I know
you're completely right.
Yeah, it's going to be.
East Gaston's 13-9 and in 5th place.
Yeah, so and Bandy's, I mean, they got an argument too. They got the same.
Bandy's got a better argument than Lake Norman Charter.
Yeah, I mean, they're 14-9.
Lake Norman Charter's really in 5th right now.
I mean, this has been a down year for Lake Norman Charter. They and it didn't help themselves that they scheduled a lot of tough teams to start the year. It's we saw how, I don't know how the Max Preps, if they're affecting basketball rankings, because I think they've realized how much they messed up there in the football playoff rankings, and I think they're going to discontinue them. But I don't know if that starts next year or this year. That's going to be interesting. And if they don't. If they didn't quit the Max Preps rankings, I think that'll definitely help Lake Norman Charter get in. But we obviously don't know the top 3 of the South Fork 2A are going in.
Well, Max Preps, I guess this is overall in the state, because I know there's not 248 2A schools. Mm-hmm. Bandy's is 248. Lake Norman Charter's at 260 over on the state.
I will say that Bandy's did beat Lake Norman Charter earlier this week, so that's pretty big for them. And
East Gaston's 230. Shelby's 237. So right now, all the teams in the Southwest are ahead of Bandy's and both Lake Norman Charter, according to the Max Preps rankings, if that's what they're going to go by. So there you guys got an idea. Maine's at 178, so they look locked in the 100 area.
Yeah, and 16-7 overall. They've gotten quality wins over Lincolnton. Really kept it close against East Lincoln. I mean, Maine's going to be like a lot of teams in the Southwestern Conference where you just don't want to face them because they'll have a guy, they spread the ball around, they'll score a lot of points, and they can shoot it from behind the arc.
All right, over in the Big South Conference, Kings Mountain 13-1, Hunter Huss 10 I photographed they won last night.
They did in
overtime.
So
they're now 11-3. They hold on to the 2nd spot as North Gaston is 10-4. I guess Huss beat Ashbrook then, right? Ashbrook 9-5 now in the big matchup. Mm-hmm. Huss and Ashbrook. Ashbrook 15-8 overall. They look good probably as far as the playoffs go. Stuart Kramer on the bubble 7-7, 11-11 is where they're at in the 500 mark. So Big South looking good, probably with 4 teams. Stuart Kramer on the bubble. Forest View, Crest, and Burns are pretty much out. They don't do any automatic bids for conference champions or anything like that, do they, Terry?
I think they might.
I think they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
So if West Lincoln or Burns or one of these teams at the bottom makes a run,
well, if they make a run, and
does that get them in?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question.
It's just you don't see it happen that often.
I know. I don't know.
Saying.
It's probably it's probably almost never happened.
Basketball's a little bit tougher for a bottom team to come up and win.
You just don't all of a sudden be unless you get a transfer.
I mean, that would be like in
or an injury.
Where Shelby knows that if Chase would win the tournament.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And they haven't won a game all year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know.
So yeah, I mean that's why we don't, I guess, really worry about it because we've never really seen it. I mean, we might see like a 5 seed. I mean, who knows? Maybe Stuart Kramer could win. I know they've played all those teams ahead of them close, but like a team like Crest or Burns more so because Crest has played a lot of teams close as well. It's just,
but it wouldn't bother you. I mean, if you're looking at that conference, if Shelby or East Gaston would win it. No. You'd be like, okay, well, I mean,
not a surprise at all.
Yeah,
you're only so 2 games out of first. I mean,
that's
you're in 5th place
saying.
and 2 games out of first. In actuality, if you'd have beat the team that's 7-3 the head of you, you're actually 1 game technically out of first. So it's not even that big of a break. But Huss did win last night in overtime by 2 points. Julia Black with the 11 sacks gave the Huskies the winning shot, winning score over Ashbrook. So there's your Hunter Huss. Ashbrook update on that.
And the girls stayed undefeated for Ashbrook as well. So that's something got to look out for. As Dave, I mean, you're going to the conference tournament undefeated. That is very impressive. I think it's more impressive to do it in basketball than in football because you play more games. But I mean, kudos to the girls' Green Wave team.
All right, Kings Mountain, Huss, North Gaston, Ashbrook, like we said, in the boys. Over in the girls, it's Ashbrook, Forestry, North Gaston. Huss is sitting at 500. Kings Mountain girls, 12-11 overall, 5-out in the conference. That's going to be tough. If they do get in, they'll be playing one of the best teams, I would imagine, in the state. So a tough matchup if Kings Mountain gets in.
But, as you always say, you've got to get in, and you got an opportunity.
Yep, got to get in to win it. All right, let's.
I know. Well, one more thing. I know Delph from Kings Mountain only had 32 last night. He had a poor game. I was expecting 40, but
senior night only 32. Who'd they play?
Burns.
Yeah.
Or Crest.
Okay. Well, we'll see about that. Coach Linsky and the gang having a tough year at Crest. I do know one thing. He is still the best dressed coach in high school basketball. Somebody needs to get him a plaque. We'll get him a KTC plaque or something one of these days and give it to Coach Zielinski up there at Crest. Pretty nice guy. Just tough year basketball wise up there at Crest this year. They were in the Final Four just a couple years back. Let's see. You know when the break time is on that, or can I kind of write it down there, sir? Yeah. But anyway, we got a state championship to talk about, Terry, don't you?
Yeah. West Lincoln, which, I mean, a lot of people from the weeks past said that with West Lincoln got by Fred T. Ford, that was really your conference championship. We say that every year. We say it in football. Whoever wins this game here will probably win your state. But when West Lincoln got by Fred T. Ford 35-28 in the finals of the Western Conference, and Croatan come in and they had to go face them over in Greensboro. But it really was pretty much no contest as West Lincoln ended up winning 54-16, bringing back their 3rd state championship in wrestling, 2000, 2015, and now 2018 for Coach Ross. He's got over 600 wins, and what a great job he does over there. And all the coaches, you go to Avery and Navy and Biscuit and Rhodes, but every one of them do a great job. And even you have to even throw in Dr. Kiefer, who keeps all these people in there, but he helps a lot of people. But for West Lincoln, congratulations on to them. Again, their 3rd state championship in wrestling. They was pretty much pumped when he come back, but pretty much a cakewalk when they got to the championship round.
Cakewalk, Terry. Look.
Well, I mean, for them, it is.
It was.
Somebody make sure y'all tweet that out. # Terry Reinhardt. # cakewalk.
He's basically saying he's the 94 49ers. Where it's like, all right, we got through Dallas, so now we can easily get through San Diego.
So MVP of the tournament, Keaton Norman. Right?
Yeah, Keaton Norman was the MVP.
And the one-on-one start this week, right?
Yeah, the regional started yesterday, and they run through today. They start at 9 o'clock. They weighing in right now to finish up, and they'll start at 9 o'clock. And this will run all day over at West Lincoln, probably until 5, 6, 6:30 tonight.
West Lincoln High School, right?
Yeah,
today?
West Lincoln High School.
So you can go over there and watch some wrestling. The West Regionals today, folks.
These are individuals.
Individuals. So
yes.
you're going to see some really good wrestling over at West Lincoln today. If you're into that, if you're not into it, never seen it, go see it.
Hey, I'm telling you, it's something
to
watch it. It
intense.
will make you get up there and your hands will twinge. You'll be grabbing at you, biting your tongue, whatever. You know how quick it comes down to the end.
So the fans need to bring a mouthpiece too?
That's it. Yeah. Get one of them football mouthpiece, stick in your mouth.
So you don't bite your tongue off.
I will say, I haven't been to that many in the past few years, but like when you go to a wrestling event, like Terry's talking about, it does get intense.
It does. I mean, you'll be moving to the right, moving to the left, backing up, going forward, pumping your fist. I mean,
it's the only one where you hear the coaches yelling constantly. It's
yes.
Like, do this move.
I don't know if Smoke will have any relation to this, but I know Terry probably will. Terry, you remember back in the 80s, 70s when wrestling was on, TV, the Saturday night special stuff. Do you not remember? Do you ever remember any of the older folks or any of your family members?
My mom
doing exactly what you're talking about just
my
now,
mom.
right in front of the TV, trying to do the wrestling moves too.
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
and just fight. My grandfather used to. I was told that he used to do that.
when my mom was there, and I'll go back to a situation, Ricky Steamboat, and all of a sudden they said he broke his leg, and my
Smoke
mom was
bringing up
crying.
Ricky Steamboat today.
My mom was crying, and I'm like, Mom, it's fake. No, it's not fake. I mean, she was all over me, and I'm a little kid, and I'm having to shut my mouth, because this is really,
Right.
I mean, we used to go down to, the Bojangles Coliseum for wrestling.
Yeah.
They'd get tickets, and we'd go down there, and what a great experience. I miss my mom. She's gone, but, those are things that you'll never, ever forget in your life. But I loved it. I loved it, and as the older I got, I'd continue to tell my
Terry
mom
would know
it's
exactly because when he's talking about the fans, that's all I could picture. It was my grandfather or a cousin next door over at my grandmother's, and they would just they would do all the moves and fight and wrestle the TV, and you just laugh. And I just remember that as a kid, and I just remember seeing people in front of the TV back then.
They would.
You get into it, and I could imagine Smoke was probably doing it too when he was a little kid as well, as fighting with the TV and doing head stomps and weren't you? Smoke?
Oh, I'd end up selling my mom a lot of times when she'd be watching it, and I'd go, "Well, Mom, they'll be out of the bar here in a little bit." No, he's not. He's hurt. They taking him to the hospital.
Well, go over there and watch real wrestling today.
This is real. This
WWE.
is
watch somebody tie somebody into a pretzel today and no elbow drops today, no flames, Terry. No.
Well, I mean,
you have walking music or any of that.
Well, Coach Ross we was all talking yesterday, and he said that all his kids at the end of the match wants to do monkey rolls. And if you ever did a monkey roll, I mean, you could break a leg or anything. I mean, in doing those. But that's what his kids wants to do. And he's like, well, I don't know about all this. But he says if he would go in there every day and go, okay, this is what we're going to do all day for excitement for the kids, they'd love it. And I'm like, you're trying to break a guy's leg by doing that. I mean, but anyway. Congratulations to West Lincoln and Coach Ross. What a great job he's done at West Lincoln.
We did have the Royal Rumble last week, Smoke? Yeah.
It was a week or two.
2 weeks back.
Yeah.
And so there you go. Braun Strowman, speaking of local wrestlers, just turning over stuff. Maybe he'll get a title shot one of these days.
He did, and he got punched in the face by Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I got a photo of him this past week when he was wrestling. Somebody sent me a photo of him doing it.
I told Terry that Bandy's the greatest wrestling tradition in North Carolina.
Yeah, he sent that to me, and I said, maybe he'd want to walk by West Lincoln one day.
All right, well, and I know Keaton. It's the only reason I'm saying this. When I see Keaton Norton on WWE, Terry, I'll say they're better than Bandy's. How about that?
Well, he'd have to be in that little small division.
He's going to have to grow up in
I'm telling you.
Keaton's not going to be as big as Braun.
He's a good wrestler, but that man's not that big.
All right, that's go over wrestling over at West Lincoln today. Go check them out, and all the others around the state. National Signing Day this week. Also, let's get into that real quick for our first break. Got a long break here and or segment here with our high schools. I was personally over at Shelby along with Smoke and Andre Bush the other day to see the Dax Holyfield reveal.
Congratulations.
And Dax picks the Virginia Tech Hokies. Going to stay here in the ACC territory, a couple hours drive. Nobody knows the exact whys or why he chose
Who
him.
was all his picks?
He had Stanford, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, and Clemson was his final four for Mr. Holyfield. His brother's already been offered by NC State, Carolina, and Virginia Tech.
And what is
He's
he,
a
only
smart
freshman?
guy.
My
the
goodness.
6'3", 230. Terry, that NC State's offer's about to be tossed so quick.
Hey, if he's picking North Carolina State, he's a great young man.
I don't know. Hey,
He's got 3 years to think about this.
yeah, he's got a long time to think about that. But anyway, yeah, congratulations, Dax. Going to be a Hokie, and one of the main reasons they did say was the defensive linebackers coach,
Bud Foster.
Bud Foster was a lot of the reason he was thinking that made the decision.
You know, speaking of that, that's why a lot of kids made moves for what the coach usually does for what they've got, like Virginia Tech with their linebacker. That guy gets a lot of them into the NFL, and Cordell's the same way. That's why he's going to Florida Atlantic.
Right. Yeah, and looking at Bud Foster, what he's created, as you said, I mean, they're going to have a top 20 pick as a linebacker, and I think what also played a factor too was Virginia Tech was like the first big school to really go after Dax, and I think they really treated him like. They really seemed like they cared about him, and I think that's why Dax really went to Virginia Tech. But I mean, he wouldn't have gone wrong with going to like a Clemson or a Stanford as well.
You're right. You're exactly.
So
right.
I mean, he had a lot of great choices to go to.
Those a lot of the kids, around here, and it's probably good, but a lot of them have had some long off offers, like Stanford. We've seen a lot of Stanford offers and a lot of Harvards and stuff like that, and really put in thoughts. And it's really tough to turn those offers down. But it seems like a lot of kids are choosing to stay closer to home, near family, and that means they got a strong family when they do that, and that's good. Y'all saw the kid with a mom got up the other day when he chose Florida. That was the last place she wanted.
She had everything on but Florida.
She had Tennessee and Alabama.
I'm going to walk right in front of the camera. I am so mad.
Did they live on the Tennessee-Alabama line, and that's why she got mad because he's going as far away? She's actually from Florida?
They're from, I forget exactly
I
where
was
it
wondering
was
if
in
they
Florida.
lived on the Alabama line.
That was so funny.
But I hate it for the kid because
she come back and hugged him.
Yeah,
she did.
On
she
TV,
did.
which was nice, but
it does. You could just
there should
tell
have been
that he
more of
was
a
so
conversation
embarrassed.
before that about what was about to happen. Like, don't surprise mom on national
Grab
TV.
my coat.
Is that
grab
rule
my
one?
pocketbook.
I know she grabbed the
She grabbed
pocketbook.
everything.
I'm going right in front of the camera.
She grabbed the pocketbook. It was done. And she looked at her friend, or I don't know if it was her sister or what, but the lady sitting next to her, she gave her the eyes, and she looked back at her like, oh, what's she about to do? And if you'll just watch that, go look at those people's reaction around her. But hopefully all that settled. But he probably shouldn't have surprised mom on national TV. You think that should have been talked about before, maybe?
Yeah,
luckily, when you sit back, I really thought, and here's most of them, when they've got Tennessee, Alabama, and Florida, everybody's going, okay, this is Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what half the people are saying. Well, that's where he's going. And then all of a sudden you just said, maybe Tennessee might be next, maybe, but Florida and Tennessee's about equal right now to me in the SEC.
Well, see, you're talking about Dax. Here's the decision. We're gonna talk about some of the other players in a few minutes, but just a second. Here's the decision some of these guys have to make. Do you go for your linebackers coach, your quarterbacks coach? Because that makes a difference.
It does make a difference.
Are you're not going to Alabama to be a good quarterback?
No, yeah.
Are you?
That.
No. I mean, so if you go to certain schools because of that, if that's what you want to go, if you're not a top recruit, you might want to go to schools for different decisions. You might want to go to school. If I'm not going to be thinking I'm an NFL player and I'm just going to be a college football player, and as far as I'm going to make it, and I've got Tennessee, Alabama, and Florida, you know where I'm going?
Alabama.
No.
Oh.
Why would I go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, with Nick Saban yell at me every day?
Oh, that's a good point.
In those god awful colors.
Why would you not want to go to Rocky Top?
I would not go to Rocky Top where it's cold and mountainous. I would go to Florida where there's beaches and girls and tourists and Orlando and all these other places to go. I would be in Florida. So trust me, I went to Appalachia State. I loved it. We were there for 3 national championships. But after those 5 years, I got a degree, and it said you graduated from the cold and the mountains. And every time, Terry, we would go to spring break in Florida and come back, and it'd be damn snowing.
Yeah.
You know how bad that ruined somebody and thinking, why in the world did I ever choose to go to
Why am I
going to Appalachia State? Good
Especially
God.
in Appalachia.
Man, that's a good football season, but this is stupid. It's colder in the spring there, so the smart thing would be to attend App in the fall, transfer to Florida in the spring, then back to App in the fall. But seriously, there's other things to choose, whether it's the coaches, the atmosphere, where your family's at. What kind of do you want to play for a certain kind of team? Do colors and uniforms matter? You want to go to Oregon? Do you like the Florida or the Tennessee Orange? Do you want to be a Gamecock? How many people want to be a chicken? Or how many people want to be a turkey? Dax don't mind being a turkey. So that's a lot of people think in different ways. So you got to do what's best for you, not what's best for the schools. Terry, I got a kid, and see what you think about this in middle school. Had a college coach tell him he should only concentrate on that sport.
Oh.
I told him, y'all don't ever speak to that coach ever again if you ever see him anywhere around you.
Y'all, and this
middle
is
school told them to drop all. He plays 4 sports. Told him to drop all the others and concentrate on that one sport. I'm not going to tell you what sport it was, or his name or whatever, but that was what he was told.
It is so hard for a young person, and I'll put this as they're coming through, and they're playing, let's say, middle school, and they're playing all sports. Don't ever make a decision on that kid or go to that kid saying you should play this sport totally, because there's so much that they're going to miss, learn. I mean, social, everything comes into hand. And when you start demanding you need to be on this and this is all you do every evening, eventually some of them kids, and we've had it in when kids make altercations like I'm going to, like the young lady that's going to go to UConn, and then all of a sudden, you know what, I'm done with basketball. A great kid, great player, can score, can do everything you want, but she was tired of it. Mm-hmm. She had done this her whole life, one thing.
And then now what do you do?
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, do not do that to a young person.
And I don't know how many times my dad has convinced his defensive linemen or just other football players in general, hey, go do wrestling. It'll help you in football. Wrestling does help you in football, especially if you're in the trenches, to really work on your stance.
Track helps you in
track
football
as well, yeah.
The number one thing, and I'll tell you from someone who played 3 sports, technically 4 if you include golf, the cross training is tremendous help. You're working muscles that you don't in that sport. So when you do need those muscles in that sport, it helps you from getting tied into a pretzel, right, Terry? If you're doing it, if you're right. like you're working on different muscles, and if you that you don't normally use, but when you do get into that sport and you need those muscles, it helps. Also, the cross training as far as hand-eye coordination. Here's one thing that nobody really mentions, or they didn't really make a big deal, but they did mention in the Super Bowl. Nick Foles is a basketball player. Do you know what kind of better skills that I think personally that basketball players have passing the ball? I know Tom Brady can sling a football. It's an oblong ball. But in general, if you can also play basketball, because you have to make bounce passes, lob pass, you have to make way more types of passes in basketball. Who's standing still on a basketball court, Terry?
That's right. Should be nobody.
Nobody is there. Yeah,
should be nobody.
So a basketball playing quarterback can sling is what you.
He proved that in the Super Bowl when he makes the catch. It's about catching too.
He made a catch. I mean, you got to catch the ball in basketball, so it includes hand-eye coordination. There's a lot of different reasons for doing that. Also, you need an off season from something. If you tire out those same muscles, you tire out your body, you tire out your mind doing baseball.
And you said the perfect thing right there. When each sport, there are different muscles used for every sport that you play.
Right, exactly, totally different. Put it this way: football, I went in on my senior year at 170. Okay. At the end of basketball, I was down to 145. lost 25 pounds from just running and all that extra running and all the different. You put on muscle weight and trying to protect your body in football, and then you get into basketball season and in baseball season, standing out there in baseball, put back about 10 more pounds standing out there and graduated about almost 160, 155, 160 area. And each sport, I was a totally different weight at each sport, and that's just within 1 year. So that tells you, like last night saw Malik Surratt playing point guard. Now last year he wasn't the point guard. Quay Kimball was the point guard. Now playing at Lee's McRae. But Malik last year was a shooting guard. He's got a great form. Last night he's a point guard. He didn't even really try to score at all, and he don't really try to score at all too much. But when he does, it helps the team. But it's just watching him pass the ball. You're like, man, he just looks so fluid and so not. He's used to distributing the ball around, and it does make a difference. And I just want to say, like I said, if you got a coach telling you that in middle school, being a senior is different.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what I'm about to concentrate
you already got
on.
Like an
this
offer.
is what I'm doing. This, But come in, and even in that, like Dax Hollyfield's playing basketball right now. Malik McMullins is playing basketball right now in Shelby. Cordell Littlejohn's playing basketball right now.
Sure is.
So it helps these guys. And one other point, not only does it work different muscles, you know what muscles it works different? If I'm playing basketball instead of not playing basketball, you know what muscles it's not working? My couch potato muscles.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are not working as hard in the off season as you would playing another sport. You just not. If you don't got a coach fussing at you about weights and also running and keeping moving at practice, you're not going home and watching Battle Cats and He-Man and whatever the Tiddlywinks, whatever the kids watch today and everything.
Yeah, and every sport is big. That's like speaking of different players. Cowie from Lincoln is going to go from basketball into baseball.
Right.
Pitching wise and stuff like that.
And the coaches don't really like it, though. The baseball coach probably don't like Cowie missing weeks of pitching preparation, and the football coach probably don't like or the basketball coach don't like you missing almost a couple. Think about Shelby. If your football team advances in the playoffs, you miss a couple weeks of basketball. They don't like that. But tough. It's do what's best for the kid, and I don't think concentrating on one sport in 8th grade is the right thing.
Well, you think about in football when you're thinking of the Hollyfields over here at Shelby, and all of a sudden they go into basketball. The first thing that comes out of another coach is, oh my goodness, I'm going to tell you, buddy, you're going to have to be physical with him because he's going to be physical with you.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to go against a Dax Hollyfield and not know that he's going to push you around if you're not in shape.
I'll look at a prime example of this, and it's a guy that I grew up playing with and against. It was rec league ball, but it was Jordan Easter. He played all 3 sports all of his years, and he was good in all of them. He was a key part of all of those teams. I think he really helped them. And I don't think he played college anywhere, but still, he opened up the opportunities for 3 sports to play him, and he was good in all of them, and he was a key part. And honestly, the biggest part was he was a leader on all 3 of those teams, and I think he helped all 3 of the teams grow as years went along. So those guys don't really come out like every single day. They're not like a dime a dozen. They're pretty rare, but a guy like Jordan Easter, you never know. You never know what could happen sometimes, and I think that's a prime example of why you should play multiple sports, is looking at a guy like Jordan Easter.
All right, guys, it's time for our first break. JP, what is up, man? You here on this Saturday? Was it raining out there still?
More of a drizzle.
What kind of biscuit do you have?
Have you got your biscuit yet,
I haven't
JP?
got my biscuit yet.
It's Mitchum's Kitchen, Saturday Sports Talk biscuit time. I had egg and cheese. Terry, what'd you have, Dave?
I had smoke. I tell you, I had liver mush and bologna on a bun.
Was it thick?
Smoked.
It was extremely thick. I could not believe how big it was.
Terry can eat some thick sandwiches. I tell you what. JP's going to get him a biscuit this morning. Jock's in the house. Jock, did you get you something, girl? What'd you get? Chicken biscuit with jelly.
Some jelly.
We had a good night over at Shelby last night. She was our videographer last night, doing a great job, our intern. If anyone's out there looking for a sound engineer, I don't know what else she'd like to apply for, but if you're looking for a job, she wants a job. Get her a job, folks. Jock Anderson, call us here at the radio station, but does a little video work, does a lot of sound work for us, and her and Smoke, of course, always looking for, and JP, full-time jobs in the industry. So if anybody's out there looking for some sound ops, give us a call. We've got a lot of connections to some young folks here in our broadcast industry. I'm glad glad to see them joining us and helping us out. We've got a bunch of emails coming in lately, don't we, Smoke? People wanting to take your job. And that's what Andre tells him, Terry. Every time we get an application, well, Smoke, this one's looking a little bit better than you, boy. We might have to do some replacing time around here, but in all fun, give us a call if you want to hire one of these folks or want to talk to them, and they're looking to get in the industry, and we'll try to do our best. If you got some interns, you want high school and college, want to do some internships, give us a call. We'll take all kinds of cameramen, won't we, Terry? And people can go get our biscuits and eat. We'll even feed you. We'll feed you some biscuits and let you have some fun with us.
Yeah. Before we go to break, want to get the other signing day guys from Lincoln County. Of course, we kind of mentioned Cordell. He's going to be playing quarterback at FAU, where Lane Kiffin. Yeah, that's a big quarterback guru in the college ranks. Looking at the rest of Lincoln County, East Lincoln, we all already knew about Ryan Matz. He's already signed before this, during the early signing period, to go to Army. Gage Wellborn will be joining Cameron Dollar at UNC Charlotte, and then North Lincoln, Reed McCrory and Caleb Hawley going to Wingate, and Daquan Camp will be going to Guilford College. So congrats to all those young men there.
Every one of them.
If you want us to read out a student that has signed or going to a college, let us know. Send us an email, info@KTC Broadcasting. We'll get to that next week. Send us an email. If you want us to do us today, you can tag us on Twitter, #KTC Sports or KTC Scores, or @KTC Broadcasting. We'll see it on Twitter, and we'll get the name out. We're going to mention as many as we can or what we can today. We're going to go try to pull up all the info. We want to congratulate everybody. Ironman last night, big win, 78-63. Lane Harrell with 31 points last night. Levante Hughes and Nathan Jeffers with 13 points apiece. As we get ready for break, JP, you ready? You ready? You on the edge of your seat? All right, guys, any more other quick high school announcements before we get out of here, Terry? Evan, Smoke, you got anything? We got conference championships coming up this week, folks. What we'll do is just follow us on Twitter and Facebook. We'll make our announcements per Monday. Once we figure out our schedules, what we're going to do, we'll be covering probably conference championship games. Maybe we think they're Friday, or are they going to be Saturday? Do you know?
They will be Friday.
Hopefully Friday. And then last year they went Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the playoffs. Or is the same thing as expected? Have you seen brackets, Terry?
I have not looked at no brackets. I'm just going to put it like that. I'm pretty much sure those the same as last year.
Okay, well, so expect that. And now, once the playoffs start, we will have a playoff coverage in each round of that. All right, when we come back, it's time to talk the Dukies and the Tar Heels and the Wolfpack.
And the 2-0 Wolfpack against Duke and Carolina. And then they played a little mediocre game Thursday between two teams that nobody really watched. Everybody went to sleep.
Duke got beat at home. Duke got beat at home this week by St. John's, Terry.
Ooh, how in the world, and I'm going to mention this, and before we go, how in the world can you lose 11 straight, then come up and beat Duke and Villanova back-to-back?
Wow. All right, time to take a break. College basketball is next. KTCBroadcasting.com.
Visit Campers Inn RV in Kings Mountain for sweet savings on your dream RV. You'll fall in love with their incredible deals on motorhomes, travel trailers, fifth wheels, and more. They've got top brand names like Forest River FR3 Class A's, Palomino Columbuses, and Campers Inn RV exclusives like the Cruiser Embrace and the Forest River Acadia. Over 70 new and pre-owned RVs on site, and they're passionate about their 5-star service. Hurry in and save big at Campers Inn RV, Kings Mountain, the RVer's trusted resource. Highway 161 South at I-85, online at campersinn.com.
NASCAR racing returns.
Like a bunch of caged animals finally getting let out after 3 months.
Revved up with the annual preseason appetizer.
Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano bobbing and weaving.
Live from Daytona Beach.
This invitational-style exhibition race.
Drafting up from Logano. Hamlin blocks him and they crash.
The Advance Auto Parts Clash.
Fighting for every piece of real estate.
Sunday afternoon at 2 on the Motor Racing Network.
The Advance Auto Parts Clash Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race from Daytona International Speedway. Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock on Carolina Country, 1590 AM WCSL, and online at KTCBroadcasting.com.
The tradition.
Every day I get to put those 4 letters across my chest.
The Blue Devils have scaled basketball's tallest mountain for the 5th time. With passion. Holds up for the 3. Got it!
All that matters is winning games. That's what Duke is built on.
Give it go. And he dunks it home. This This is Duke basketball.
Are we going to make some noise this year?
Look away for the two-hand jam.
Free from three and buries it dead on.
Follow the Blue Devils all season long on your home for Duke basketball.
Duke, North Carolina, and Clemson basketball. Right here on the Boss in Carolina Country and online at KTCBroadcasting.com.
Is the cost of ink driving your profits down? Then listen up. Discount Ink Jet and Toner is here to help. Discount Ink Jet and Toner specializes in refilling ink jet and toner cartridges. Cut your ink costs by as much as 50% or more. Discount Ink Jet and Toner, located on 410 East Franklin Boulevard in Gastonia. 100% satisfaction guaranteed.
Tax time means sale time at Chase Auto Sales, located at 4510 Wilkinson Boulevard in Gastonia. Rick Shields invites you to come by and check out their selection on great pre-owned vehicles at special tax time prices. Financing is available, so come on out and check out the great buys and drive away in the car of your choice. Tax time is sale time at Chase Auto Sales, 4510 Wilkinson Boulevard in Gastonia. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday. Call 704-824-5000 for Chase Auto Sales of Gastonia.
All that ride, jump in the fire, fire too hot, jump in the pot, pot too black, jump in the crack, crack too high, jump in the sky, sky too blue, jump in canoe, canoe too shallow, jump in the tallow, tallow too soft, jump in the loft, loft too rotten, jump in the cotton, cotton so white she stayed there all night.
And good morning, Campers in Saturday Sports Talk. You hear Ernest T. Bass, folks, you know it's NC State basketball time. Terry Reinhardt, take it away.
That's all right. We'll take that. Anything that leads to us talking about North Carolina State is a plus.
Well, last time the Wolfpack played Tar Heels had no answer for the big man in the middle. And I thought that's
Freeman was the key in that game.
I thought you weren't even watching it.
Oh, yeah.
Where was you at?
Well, I told you I was reffing, but then
the game.
I come home and I watched it.
And you didn't see the center just dunk all over everybody?
No, he was, but I'm still say Freeman. When you're 7 for 7 behind 3-point line.
Well, that ain't bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
And they were doing a great. Yurt 7 also played a factor in that because he was getting the picks so they can get it to Freeman, have a mismatch of a guy like a Luke May. And that led to him either driving to the lane or just shooting a three right in front of May's face.
So Smoke's trying to talk about NC State all he wants to right now, Terry. But
he wants us to change
the subject. But this big game Thursday night, how can the Dukies? How many NBA prospects y'all got?
2 that are coming out for sure this year, possibly 3. Pretty much.
How many people on that team is going to be on the NBA roster at some point in their career?
Probably all of them in some form or fashion. all the starting 5. The only one I don't know about is Grayson, but we'll get into him.
So you're saying 5 Blue Devils?
Possibly, yeah. It depends on Grayson.
Terry,
I'm not sure.
Terry, answer me this question: how many Tar Heels are going to be in the NBA?
That's a good question. Maybe 1 or 2.
1,
2.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd say
3. I say Barry. The rest of them, I don't know. Cam Johnson might get some NBA DL time. I don't know.
I would say Theo would get a shot based on his wingspan. That stuff will.
The Hornets might pick him second. You're right, Smoke.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying people are going to give him a shot because of his wingspan and his height.
Well, if you put Theo Pinson in a gym next to Terry Wisnett of Cherryville and had them shoot, and anyone who ever said Theo Pinson should get a chance for any playing time in any league and anywhere is a moron, because I don't care. And yeah, go ahead, Rich Cho. Go ahead, pick him. I dare you, Rich. Let's go pick Theo Pinson. Let's make him the 3rd overall pick instead of the 2nd. But
in the game,
what?
He didn't score very few, but they said he made the biggest difference in what was happening on the field. I mean, on the court. It's like I always talk about Green. He's the leader.
That's
but Pinson is one of the leaders for the Tar Heels.
Well, he's a leader, but it's
not what you do as points.
Is that what it is?
It's not what you do as points.
We don't need anybody to score 20 points again. Well, who's the kid for Utah the Hornets passed up this year?
Donovan
dunked
Mitchell.
all over their heads the other night. Yeah, let's keep picking leaders. Instead of people that can score 20 points a game.
Well, when I go back and I think of people, and people ask me, what do you think? Nate McMillan, when he played at North Carolina State, was a true leader.
But he could shoot a basketball.
Well, he could.
David Millen's a shooter, Terry. I'm talking about somebody that can't shoot.
Well, he was still a leader. He was a point guard at North Carolina State in some stretches. And the things that he did, assist, rebounds,
like Nate.
Total leader. Yeah.
I like Nate.
He's doing pretty good as a head coach right now, too.
Yes, he is.
But, looking at this Duke team, the problem is 3 of their losses past month, they were leading by 9 against State at one point. They were up by 10 against St. John's last Saturday, and they were up by 10 against Carolina this past Thursday. It's just they will go on so many stretches to where they just get so bad, and it's just like, what in the world is happening?
You started the second half, and you got outscored 16-2.
Yeah. I mean, that's some of the problem when you have some of these freshmen. But, someone brought this up when, about saying one-and-dones are the cancerous thing for Duke. Looking through 04 to 05, which would have been J.J. Redick's junior year, to I think the year they won the national championship, they had 0 one-and-dones because people that say I forget his name, but he was the year before. They had 39 losses during that span, averaged 5.5, but had a losing record against Carolina by a pretty wide margin. Since then, they've averaged 6 losses, 46 overall. They've had 10 one-and-dones, including this year, I believe. Or no, this was till last year. But they completely dominated Carolina, and they won the same amount of national championships. So I think it's about the same. It's just a completely different philosophy from what we've seen in the past from Duke.
Let me ask you a question, Smoke and Kevin. You got your one-and-dones, and we know that's what Kentucky goes for. We know that's what Duke goes for now. Mm-hmm. But Carolina, State, some of these other teams, and I mean putting Carolina in this, have very few one-and-dones. I mean, don't get me wrong, State
they're not paying as much as Kentucky
that's what I'm saying. Well, I guess not. But, I mean, because Carolina, how many have they had that was one-and-done? Ain't it Marcus Williams?
Two.
Is it 2?
Or 3 in the not even 2. Just 2 in the last 10 years I can think of was Marvin Williams, and then they had Tony Bradley last year.
Yeah. So,
and I think Roy was hoping he'd stay, but he decided to go chase the money, and he got drafted in the second round. Hasn't done much so far, but he got paid.
They almost lost Stackhouse and Wallace freshman year. They had to beg to get them back. That was almost the first ones. The biggest problem with one and done in Coach K from an outsider is Duke has a system. Carolina has a system. And the problem with once you get a one and done in there, they're not there for the system.
No,
they're there to get drafted. They're there to develop their game to make them better, to get a better draft pick. They're not there. So when you've got, Duke's in the past, and it's different this year, but in the past it's based on shooting all these threes and running the system. Flopping, as much as you want to say, they take more charges than anybody, and that's been their system. How are you going to get a number 1 pick to say, hey, go out there and flop? Go out there and take a charge. Go out there and set that pick. You go set the pick, Bagley, so Grayson can get his 3 off. That's it. It's just one. You can get away with one of those guys maybe on a team, but once you got 2 to 3 in Calipari, he's had his struggles when he gets those, those 4 freshmen that are going to the NBA, and it's not as good as you think it's going to be.
You'll have it every couple of years, but you got to have glue guys
have
too.
That system, he can kind of, he can play with it. I guess more better than I would say. I can't believe that Duke's went this way, but you got a 70-year-old coach. You
don't have much longer.
He's not there to lose.
Well, I mean, if Dean Smith wasn't that old, do you think he would have gotten all those guys in the mid '90s in the first place?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
That's true. You never know. You never know.
Because he was mostly a system guy as well.
Yeah, and when I look at all this, and
had Michael Jordan and Dean Smith. You got the coach Michael Jordan and Smoke. You guys think LeBron's big? Y'all have no idea. If they were going there, if the Tar Heels didn't get the best top 2-3 players in the nation, it was just silly. Why? And it would be an uproar. Like Williamson, why? That blows a lot of people's mind. If that happened 15 years ago, and he'd have went to say or the kid like Ben Simmons and them when they go to all these other schools, those kids all used to come to Carolina, and now they're not getting any of them, and so. At those end of the Dean Smith years, and nobody knew when he was going to retire. Thought, and the Bill Guthridge thing was, he had no personality. I went to those those basketball camps, and man, I don't see I see how Darty had a tough time because I don't see who's going to want to be recruited by him. I couldn't understand why would I want to play for Bill, unless Dean was going to be there the whole time, and he was always there. But man, I thought it was tough for those kids in Bill. But back to the one and dones for Duke real quick. I just don't think, as far as Coach K's done a good job. I think if he wasn't coaching in the Olympics and having to play with players that play kind of for themselves and one-on-one, it would be different. I think this is his adjustment into this one and done.
Well, and also during some of those Duke teams in the past few years, they actually had glue guys that you could be considered leaders. It's not like they just completely had the whole starting lineup full of one and dones, because they had, when they won a national championship, they had Quinn Cook played a huge factor in their run to the national title. Then you also had guys like Emil Jefferson in the past few years, Matt Jones, guys that you weren't going to be studs, but you could rely on them to be glue guys to help the team get along and help these young guys, these freshmen, these one and dones, kind of get used to the college game and try to make a run. And they've now entrusted that to Grayson Allen, and Grayson Allen just.
Yeah, but there's where I like what you're saying there, because at this time, to me, you've got to have some guys that have been there just to organize the young guys. Because, I mean, every time that, say, Duke goes out there with all their freshmen, and you got Allen, but if he's not their floor leader on the court saying, look, okay, now they've went to a 3-2, this is what we need to do, or now they're in a 2-1-2, or a 2-3, or now they're going to play us man. Them guys are used to playing man. They're used to having people playing them one-on-one. They know everything about that. But when a coach switches it up against them, these young people are not used to that, and they're having to learn it. And it's not the point of them having to learn. They might have seen it, but the guys are much quicker and faster at what they're doing now when you go from high school into college. So
yeah, no, well, I'm looking, I think also it doesn't help that they've been trying to get him to play point guard the last 2 years, because they know that's probably where he's going to be playing in the next level. And it's just completely hurt his game. He's more of a shooting guard. He's not really a facilitator, ball distributor. He's not really that. And when he tries to be, he's not that good at it. And his wrist is hurt. I know that, but still, his shot has just not been that good since his junior year, and it's really been a whole lot worse this year. It's like our Duke's version of Marcus Page, except Marcus Page actually showed up later in the senior year and almost won Carolina the national title with an amazing shot that's forgotten.
ACC has 12 of the 15. This is like the SEC in football. 12 of the 15 teams, Terry, have winning records overall. That's just silly. That's just silly. For example, Duke.
10 of them have more than 16 wins.
Yeah. I mean, they're scheduling.
I mean, think of that.
Here's Duke's schedule. And I'm not pointing out Duke. They're all like this. Elon. Who's that? UVU. I don't know. They beat Michigan State. Southern University. Furman. Prairie State. Texas. Florida. There's some big names. Indiana. They won on the road at Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. South Dakota
State.
Is that South Dakota State? SDAK.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know what that one is. San Francisco. They lose to BC at BC. Evansville, Indiana. Tough game here, Smoke. 104-40. Right in the middle of the schedule, Terry.
Well, you needed that after you lost to Boston
40. Evansville. Come on, dude. Come on, NCAA. This is just
wait a minute.
stupid.
They got a bunch of freshmen. You got to get back on the winning track.
Just stupid. Lost at NC State. Win at Pittsburgh.
Well, everyone's won at Pittsburgh.
Lost at home to Virginia. I jokingly say lost at home to St. John's. It was in Madison Square Garden, but you know how that goes.
Well, they always play the big opponents at Madison Square. They never go to their home court for those games.
I wonder why, Smoke.
Well, I mean
what? Because Coach K's scared to play on opposing teams' courts. Let's look. All of his losses this year at UNC, at St. John's. Virginia, the best team in the nation, beat them at home by 2. Okay? At NC State, at BC. All their losses are on the road against real teams.
I know.
That's why he doesn't play on the road against real teams.
Well, when you have that luxury, you take advantage of it. But unfortunately, I think it's kind of hurt them with these one-and-done guys going on the road.
Playing at Morgan Bagley's posting up against Evansville, Indiana.
I mean, as Kevin said though before,
but it's not just them. It's North Carolina.
It's
everybody
everyone.
else.
It's everyone. I mean,
the ridiculousness of college scheduling just drives me crazy. How many Division I basketball teams? Look, let's look at this.
There's like 300.
So you got ACC, then you got the Big 12, I'm just talking Power 5 right now. We don't even have to talk about the rest of them. Big Ten. Why do they not play each other? Why does they don't, instead of playing 10 teams against the Atlantic Sun, why don't we play 10 teams against the Big East, or 10 games against the Big 10 and 10 games against the Big 12?
Here's the reason I'll say on why they do not. That's like
they're scared of losing.
No, it's not the point. It's the ACC against the Big Ten. All of a sudden, when you see the rankings, there's Michigan State and Purdue. Okay, everybody's like, they're good. Okay, they are, I guess. But when they had to match up against the ACC dominated the Big Ten totally.
But those are one games, Terry.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's how come they highly rank, because there's nobody else in the Big Ten.
What I'm saying they should play, instead of playing Florida Gulf Coast, Lipscomb, and Jacksonville, Carolina and Duke should play Texas Tech, Kansas, and Virginia. Instead of playing, let's go down to the Big East, Big Sky. Instead of playing Weber State and Northern Colorado and Montana State, why don't Carolina and Duke play Villanova and Butler and Georgetown? Wouldn't that make college basketball better? Wouldn't that make college sports better, especially in football too? Why is Alabama playing Mercer when they could be playing North Carolina?
Well, it would, but is the NCAA going to take you when it comes Selection Sunday when your record
is
why
they don't
15 and 14?
You just figured that out. That's why they don't. Because they know all these schools are about the same or average, and they all pump up their standings. Let's look at the standings. Big East. 1, 2, 3, 4 teams under 500 in the Big East. 2 of them are above 500 overall, though.
Yeah, and some of those teams like Georgetown are trying to rebuild with Patrick Ewing. So
overall, Big East has 6 teams with winning records. Big 12 overall, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the conference. But overall, every team has a winning record but one. Overall, every team has a winning record but one in the Big 12 out of conference. Actually, they all have winning records. I looked at that wrong. Ha! That's even funner, Terry. Look at this, Terry. Look at the Big 12. Look at their conference records. 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, have winning records in conference. 1, 2, 3, 5 of them have winning records. Losing records. So half and half in conference play. That's how it's supposed to play. But you look at your overall conference, every single team in the Big 12 has the overall winning record. The NCAA committee, you know what they should say? Bump y'all until y'all fix y'all schedules for overall. The only thing that we're doing is conference records. That's the only thing that is going to count.
Tom sends us something, and I'm glad he's listening. He says the thing about the challenge was the ACC and the Big Ten was the Big Ten's gotten better and ACC's gotten worse since they played that. Here's my opinion, and I'm glad you're not here, Tom. That way nobody can understand what you're saying.
Well, nobody wants to hear the NC State basketball fans' opinion either, Terry.
If they would play it today, the ACC would still win, because I think from top to bottom, we are a better conference.
But it depends on who you match up which teams against, right?
Yeah.
Don't that matter, too?
Okay.
Heck, if I'm a Big Ten...
you can match up Virginia against... Let's see, who's in the Big Ten? Virginia and Duke will probably match up against...
Who's in the Big
Rutgers and Illinois. That will be the matchup, and then Terry will brag about the
1,
ACC
2,
winning.
3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you'd basically have about the same matchup, because when State played, they played Penn State. Penn State 17-9. So North Carolina State 16-8, but State beat them.
And Tom, there's 14 teams in the Big Ten.
There's 16 in the ACC.
15.
But they're not called the ACC 16. The Big Ten is called the Big Ten, and they have 14 teams. So till y'all get that math right, I don't know if you can talk about ACC
How many teams
basketball.
they have with losing records?
Overall, 4.
In the Big Ten?
Of the 16, 4 of them have losing
so
records.
We got 1, 2, 3 in the ACC that have losing records.
Dang, Maryland's fallen a lot. Whew.
Maryland's 16-10 overall, Smoke.
I know, but still, this ain't the Maryland I'm familiar with.
But see, because usually the cutoff's 20 wins. People look at the 20 wins.
They
so
do.
If you play teams that are equal of you, you'll never get 20.
If you're a Big 10, one of the Big 5 conferences, they look at that. If you're one of these lesser conferences, 23, 24 wins might not even help you.
Yeah, which is stupid, but unless if you got a name, you can afford to have a down year like that, because, see, Carolina, the only year that they haven't made it in the last 20 years was 2009, 2010. They didn't even get the 20 wins. But so I'd say 20 wins should be the cutoff.
So there you go. All right, time for a break. That's NCAA basketball. We got Carolina and Duke today. JP, what's the official broadcast time? Smoke's got it. Smoke's got it. Go, Smoke.
Today at 1 p.m. on WOHS, WCSL, WLON, we'll have NC State hosting North Carolina. So see if Carolina can get revenge on NC State, and if what the student section is going to do to Joel Berry.
Yeah, Joel Berry, he has a lot of unfair things to say about North Carolina State. Like, that's not a rivalry. That's not a big deal over there.
Is it, Terry?
Well, I mean, and you have to go by coaches.
That's
Terry, how I look at that.
Wait a minute, Smoke. Doesn't Terry do this all the time?
I do.
Doesn't Terry always say, if both teams aren't winning, it's not a rivalry?
That's right.
He says it all the time.
I do. But now all of a sudden, you got Keats there. Yeah, and Keats is there, and he says, well, my record against both of them is 2-0.
Well, and he'll completely contradict himself by saying that the Colts and Patriots isn't a rivalry. So.
But State probably get beat by 20.
And then they win. He's just doing this so they can win because he said it the last time.
Terry, if your bicycle had back brakes on it, you'd be slamming on brakes so quick, trying to backpedal. You're that's so funny. It's not a rivalry if both teams. Because what it tells about Dallas and Washington, Terry.
That's not a rivalry.
All right, folks, it's time for a break. We'll be back in a minute. KTCBroadcasting.com.
Visit Campers Inn RV in Kings Mountain for sweet savings on your dream RV. You'll fall in love with their incredible deals on motorhomes, travel trailers, fifth wheels, and more. They've got top brand names like Forest River FR3 Class A's, Palomino Columbuses, and Campers Inn RV exclusives like the Cruiser Embrace and the Forest River Acadia. Over 70 new and pre-owned RVs on site, and they're passionate about their 5-star service. Hurry in and save big at Campers Inn RV, Kings Mountain, the RVer's trusted resource. Highway 161 South at I-85, online at campersinn.com. Tax time means sale time at Chase Auto Sales, located at 4510 Wilkinson Boulevard in Gastonia. Rick Shields invites you to come by and check out their selection on great pre-owned vehicles at special tax time prices. Financing is available, so come on out and check out the great buys and drive away in the car of your choice. Tax time is sale time at Chase Auto Sales, 4510 Wilkinson Boulevard in Gastonia. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday. Call 704-824-5000 for Chase Auto Sales of Gastonia.
I love my new car. Thanks to Carolina Federal Credit Union.
There's their commercial now.
That's how I found out about their low rates. I got approved fast.
Are their rates and fees lower? My bank increased their fees again.
It's better than a bank. Great service, the area's best loan rates, and lower fees.
I got my first credit card with them. I'll never go to a bank. No annual fees.
I need to get to Carolina Federal Credit Union today.
Carolina Federal Credit Union offers auto loan rates as low as 2%. Ask about our Steal-A-Loan.
Hey, you don't have to be a member of the Cherryville Golf and Country Club to come out and eat. Everyone is welcome. Try their famous Sunday buffet from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. And they're open for dinner each and every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night from 5 p.m. until. And ask about their Chicken on the Run on Sundays. Get a whole chicken and 2 sides for only $14.50. Place your order by calling 704-435-6597 for your Chicken on the Run. Voted the best chicken in Cherryville at the Cherryville Golf and Country Club off Roy Acre Road in Cherryville.
Feast your eyes on a Whirlpool Black Stainless Steel Suite. Now available at Hendrick Appliance and Mattress Center in Shelby. It's the first ever black stainless steel, the new premium color that is as bold as you are. And it's from Whirlpool and Hendrick Appliance and Mattress Center. Yes, care can be messy. That's why the Whirlpool Black Stainless Steel Suite is fingerprint resistant. And it performs as good as it looks and is the perfect touch for any kitchen. So be bold. See the new Whirlpool Black Stainless Steel Suite today at Hendrick Appliance, 1241 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby.
If bowling's your game, head to George Pappas Liberty Lanes in Gastonia. At Liberty Lanes in Gastonia, you'll find 32 lanes, 16 with bumpers for small children. Liberty Lanes is a smoke-free facility with a full snack bar and game room with pool tables, plus a pro shop too, providing bowlers of all skill levels with a fun-filled environment for both league and open bowling. That's George Pappas Liberty Lanes, Highway 321 South, Gastonia.
This one gonna stump Smoke too, Terry?
It could.
Smoke, you know what that one is? Or did you just hear Terry say it? I think you just heard Terry say it.
It's just that the introduction to Jeopardy kind of caught me off guard because I've never heard it that way.
Whatever, kind of weird.
No, I'm a diehard Price is Right, man. I can watch that all the time.
No one can beat Bob Barker, though.
All right, real quick before we start on the NFL.
And here's the star. The Price is Right. Bob Barker!
Oh, my gosh. All right, well, we can't do the show anymore.
That
just
was
stole
JP.
it. We can't
was
top
wondering
it.
It wasn't one of us. That was JP in the background on the board. Real quick, I do want to point out some funny couple of things. Gabe DeVoe on fire right now. Shelby's Gabe DeVoe for Clemson. 22 threes last 4 games, just lighting it up. And real quick, I want to make some points on the rankings, Terry. ACC, NC State still unranked. If they beat Carolina today, are they going to ever get ranked ahead of them?
My deal is this, and they're got 12 votes.
Yeah.
This time, and I don't think on the AP, the other coaches poll, they got any.
They're 33rd in the AP. They're on the coaches.
Are
1, 2, 3, 4. They're 30th in that.
Okay, that'd be ridiculous.
But here's my deal with it. If you are telling me State is not, and don't get me wrong, I know you look at your overall records, and we do have 8 losses.
Carolina's beat. See, this is
nobody on there's got 8 losses.
This is the thing about college basketball rankings, and if people would open their eyes and be smart about this, and would say and apply it to football, and you could understand why it's so hard to rank teams like this. Carolina just beat Duke. Carolina's 21, Duke's 9. Carolina beat Clemson. They actually split with them. Clemson 16, Carolina's 21. Carolina's been beat by NC State and hadn't beat State yet, although State's down here in 30-something, and Carolina's up here. Carolina's also lost to Wofford. So they've beat the number 9 team. Then St. John's loses 11 straight, then knocks off Villanova and Duke in the same week.
Yeah.
How do you even have rankings?
Well,
what's the point of even right now?
This is what I'm going to say about that. When you speak of North Carolina State, State beat Duke. They beat Arizona.
Yep.
They beat Clemson.
Yep.
They beat Carolina.
That's 4 teams in the top
25.
That's what I'm
saying. And we can't even get hardly votes to be in there. Okay, that's fine. I know we lost to UNC Greensboro. Carolina lost to Wofford. So I guess, so there's an equal amount right there.
Isn't it unfair, though, that how they'll, if your name is State, or if you lose to a bad team, they hold it against you more than your name is Carolina or Duke. The same way in football, if your name's State. If your name's State, they'll hold it against you.
It's stupid.
They're
bad loss.
If y'all lose to North Carolina in football, they would hold it against you. If Alabama lost to North Carolina in the first week of football, they would just wipe it away.
Wipe it away.
And that's what makes it hard for some people for college football. All right, NFL. Time talking NFL before Terry's got to go. He's got to go soon and referee some basketball. He wants to talk some Super Bowl. Go, Terry. Nah. Brady and the gang lose. They're 5-3 now, so that brings up all kinds of arguments, whether who's the GOAT. We start doing some fuzzy math. The LeBron James, the Michael Jordan argument comes into play in some of this. Joe Montana's back now in the fray. Does Terry Bradshaw got some say? What do we look at? Do we look at Super Bowls? Do we look at yards? What do we look at? And it's so hard to pick out one thing to make you decide what makes a quarterback great. I mean, if you just look at the quarterbacks based on what they've won, is Nick Foles now the best quarterback in the NFL? Last week, everybody said Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. Nick Foles outscores him, basically. His defense, the Eagles didn't shut out the Patriots. They only stopped him once, and it was the last series of the game.
Except they got to stop.
But they got one. That's my point. They got one.
Yeah.
Guess who
We saw
stopped? Wait a minute.
Super Bowl that was more offense and not defensive minded.
Right. Let me finish that thought. Who was Brady going against? Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz. Who is Foles going against? Defense. The future head coach of the Detroit Lions and what some people call the greatest defensive coach of all time. So Nick Foles just beat the greatest defensive coach and outscored the greatest quarterback of all time. And Nick Foles in 3 or 4 or 5 weeks is about to get cut because of Carson Wentz is there.
Do you think that's going to happen? Some people keep saying they might not cut him.
I mean, actually would use him as an insurance policy.
But now he's going to have to get paid a lot of money.
If you're his agent, do you hold out?
Yeah, there you go.
That's an interesting thing.
There's so many. Can they franchise tag him?
Well, no, they got him for next year.
They can do that.
He's still on contract for next year.
Yeah, I know, for $7 million.
But I'd use him because Carson got hurt late in the year. You don't know if he's going to be back 100% by the time the year starts.
But he can hold out. Him and his agent can hold out. They can ask for a trade.
Unless they're offering like a first or second round pick, I wouldn't really consider trading him.
Mm-hmm. And then people, real quick back on the quarterbacks before we get into that. Eli beat Brady twice. And a lot of people say, does that make Eli better than Brady? And most everybody will say, heck no. And the reason I would say no, and here's the difference between what Brady did and what Foles did. What did I just say what Foles did? He outscored Brady, and he beat Belichick's defense while doing it. The two times that Brady lost the Giants, they scored under 20. So it's not like it's not like that was a defensive game. Couple miracles here and there. Foles went out and won that game. I think it's a little bit different, but Eli did it twice. So when you go to rankings, you say real quick, Smoke. You got Brady, who's won Super Bowls 3, 3, 4, 4, and 6. Joe Montana had 3 blowouts against Boomer Esiason, Dan Marino, and John Elway. Who's Brady beaten?
Kurt Warner, Jake Delhomme, Donovan McNabb, and Russell Wilson, and Matt Ryan.
Yeah, think of that.
Some of those are good. Some of them, but none of those are great. You could argue Kurt Warner's great. But, I mean, he beat Elway. He blew out. He didn't beat him by 3, though. He didn't beat him by 4. He didn't beat him in overtime. He blew out John Elway, Boomer Esiason, and Dan Marino. The first one they won, he beat Ken Anderson, and he didn't have Jerry Rice. So, kind of little no Boomer, no Jerry. That game was about, I think that was a 4-point or 8-point game.
Well, and the ones with Elway, that was really before the Broncos really had the defense. They kind of had to, he kind of had to carry the team into that. And it took them, wasn't that the one where the drive?
Orange Crush defense. Is that the drive year? It might have been the drive.
I think that was the drive, so it took a miracle for the Broncos to even get in the game. And then, you look at some other ones. I mean, it's just like, and you also got to remember that in '83, the freaking 49ers were thinking of trading Joe Montana. And they were thinking of trading him so they could get Dan Marino. That actually almost happened at one point. And Dan Marino basically had to carry his team.
Dan Marino might have 4 Super Bowl rings if that would have happened.
Yeah, and Dan Marino just never had an elite defense.
Oh, yeah, and 49ers did then.
Yeah, and the 49ers were just completely stacked on both sides. And you also got to remember, Joe Montana was always having to play for his job because in '87, Bill Walsh traded for Steve Young. So he basically had to look over the back corner of his eye to make sure Steve Young wasn't there.
And that kind of leads us to today's quarterback situation with this back to Foles. Is that how do these NFL teams decide what to do with the quarterback situation? You could go through every team right now and think about the craziness in the NFL. Just give me a minute, Terry, before we get to your notes. So New England, they have a backup quarterback who they cut, and they're paying what people call the GOAT $14 million a year. The guy they just cut or traded, basically, the guy they just traded, he just signed for a NFL record 7-0 in his career. He's going to get paid more than any quarterback in NFL history, more than the guy he was backing up, and more than the guy who just won the Super Bowl who's about to probably get cut maybe if Wentz comes back and if that's how Philadelphia wants to go. That's crazy. Buffalo. They benched their starter in the middle of the year. Back up those 5 interceptions. They're trying to miss the playoffs. They still squeak in, barely. They tried to miss the playoffs. They traded their best defensive player to Jacksonville. Benched their quarterback middle of the season. They tried to lose, went 9-7 because they don't like their quarterback.
They lost their 2 receivers and they went to L.A.
Dolphins, you could argue, have still not replaced Dan Marino. The Jets, Pennington and Testaverde actually got them in the playoffs. You can hate them all you want.
That defense got them in the playoffs with Mark Sanchez, and they almost made a Super Bowl.
All right, Pittsburgh, you can kind of skip over them. Baltimore, they hate Joe Flacco. They can't replace him even though he won them a Super Bowl. He's in Nick Foles land right now. Cincinnati, they're talking about getting rid of Andy Dalton, even though he's got the exact same stats as Joe Flacco and Cam Newton over his career. Cleveland has no idea what to do at quarterback. They haven't replaced Bernie Kosar.
I mean, it's like, all right, who's going to be the quarterback this year?
Jacksonville, the coach comes out before the year and says, I hope we don't ever have to throw the ball. Talking about his quarterback, that quarterback goes to the NFC Championship game. Who did Brady beat this year? Who did the GOAT beat this year to get to the Super Bowl?
Marcus Mariota
and Blake Bortles. That was his journey to the Super Bowl.
And I bet when people look at it 20 years from now, depending on how Mariota's career can go, because it can go pretty upwards, but people are going to be like, oh, he beat Mariota. But this was Mariota of hardly anything.
So Brady made the Super Bowl by beating by beating Mariota and Bortles. Let's put Romo in that spot. If Romo had beaten Bortles and Mariota, does that make him a great quarterback because he would have made the Super Bowl? Think about that. Think about how weird that is. Chad Pennington, Terry, went 2-4 in the playoffs. So did Romo. Chad Pennington played in 2 AFC Championship games. Romo never made the AFC Championship game. Romo lost to Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Eli Manning, and was it Donovan? Did McNabb beat them one time? No. Who was the other?
Brett Favre?
Yeah, Favre beat him. So that's who he lost to. Meanwhile, Brady gets to play Blake Bortles and Marcus Mariota. So a lot of this is so circumstantial about these quarterbacks. And then, so you're back to the Foles situation. Some people, I've said, if I'm running the organization, I trade with Carson Wentz. Who are you going to get more for, Wentz or Foles? If you make a trade, Foles just won you the Super Bowl. How can you look at the Philly fan base? Hey guys, this guy won you the Super Bowl. We're going to get rid of him. This guy over here with a broken leg, we hope he can win you a Super Bowl, because you don't know. He proved. Did the Philadelphia Eagles not just prove that they can win a Super Bowl without Carson Wentz?
Yeah. But
so what should they do?
He got them a playoff spot in the first place. So he did a lot of the work, but Foles was there to do just enough to get the job done. This is not, because we've seen Foles do good. We saw him in 2013, had a terrific year. It's just that he went to St. Louis, and that's a death spot when your coach is Jeff Fisher. It's not like you already put so much into Carson Wentz. You traded up for him. You trade up for this guy who's from a small college, and it's like,
what if the Browns give you the one for him? They just get that's what they traded to get.
Because you don't know if this is the peak of Nick Foles, and if you will ever get the same.
But Smoke, at one you can draft the quarterback for the future.
How many times have you told us? You told us just a couple minutes ago that the Dolphins still haven't replaced Dan Marino. You've actually got something in Carson Wentz,
but you don't know that now.
Well, then keep Nick Foles as well.
No, but what I'm saying is that you don't know. Carson Wentz isn't the same player now. We have no idea.
Well, you're saying he's the same player like it's a definite fact. We don't know. You're saying you already know that he's not.
No, I'm saying we don't know. Carson Wentz right now, to me, is on the same level as these 4 quarterbacks in the draft. Going forward, we have no idea what any of them are going to be. We don't know if Carson Wentz was drafted first. Well, if you're telling me one of these other quarterbacks to be drafted first, then what's the difference? The quarterbacks being drafted this year, guess what? They can walk in August. They can throw a football in August. Carson Wentz can't. So if you're the Eagles, you just won your first Super Bowl ever. The guys on your roster that just won it, you could trade Wentz for another future quarterback who can walk, who can practice all offseason, who can possibly play. If Foles can't do what he just did, then you can put that guy in. Wentz might not be ready till halfway through the season. So Philadelphia, I think, has to make a choice whether they want to go. I'm not saying your way's wrong, Smoke. I'm saying they have to make a choice whether they want to stay with Wentz and do that and risk that knee injury, or could they possibly make a move and keep Foles for a year and move somewhere else? I think if Cleveland throws you the 1 pick and something else, that's really tough.
Well, Cleveland's not going to do that, but it's just Nick. I feel like you got to keep Nick Foles just as an insurance policy, as I said, unless.
Oh yeah, I agree. I wouldn't cut him at all. Nick Foles, he would be,
and I don't think they will.
He would be my starter going into next year. I think it's the situation to where Nick Foles, almost like Keenum, is that he'll have to play till he plays bad and give them a reason to take him out.
Well, do you know what I think is going to happen? And this is me. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're ever going to make a choice on Nick Foles yet. They can franchise, just like we said.
They can't franchise until next year.
Yeah, but they can eventually.
Yeah.
So they're not going to do anything with him. And would you go now and trade Wentz? No, you're not going to do that neither, because right now you got the best scenario. If it comes up that some of your free agents, and I don't know who all they got as free agents from Philly, but if some of them would leave, then you have a choice here. Hey, I can give you Foles, or I can give you Wentz.
Let me rephrase this for you
and
real quick.
Put this back in there, and for me to be stout next year.
I think you guys are too much married to Wentz right now, to the fact that you invest in him, yes, but like his knee he blew his knee out. So let's change the name so forget all the quarterbacks that are coming out this year. What if it's Peyton Manning coming out? And when you think this guy's going to be a stud, are you making that trade now? What if the Browns say number one's coming out, it's going to be Peyton, we'd rather have a Wentz?
Wait, Peyton, like rookie Peyton?
Yes. If Peyton Manning is the number,
we don't know.
If it was Ryan
no
Leaf
way
and Peyton
you know
Manning,
what he's going to do.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't know.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know.
It's a crapshoot.
But in the same thing with Wentz. Wentz and Teddy Bridgewater are crapshoots from this point on.
Well, and I'd rather go with crapshoot and Wentz because we've seen what he can do in the NFL level. We don't know what a guy like a Sam Darnold.
That was a healthy one. What if he can't run no more?
Well,
what if Cam Newton blows his knee out? Would that not change his game?
Yeah, it would. But you got to look at Wentz. He's not like he can't throw the ball.
I know he can throw the ball.
He can throw the ball like a bullet, and I just think it'll be stupid just to give up on Wentz. And I mean, how stupid would you look that you have to keep Foles and then you trade Wentz, and then Wentz goes on to become one of the best quarterbacks of his generation, and you trade him because you got the hot feeling for Nick Foles.
Well, I don't think Philadelphia's ever going to do that.
Nick
I mean,
I'm just saying that with what Kevin's trying to propose with the trade, I'm not going to give him up.
What would Wentz have to do to make you regret getting rid of him? Because you just won the Super Bowl without him. You don't
win multiple Super Bowls.
You don't need Carson
Wentz. And going to be relevant. I mean, look at the Dolphins.
I got to look at age.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Foles is not even 30 yet.
I know, but still, you're still going to have to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying you draft a quarterback. What are y'all I'm saying you draft his replacement.
Look, how many teams have gotten? There's only a rare amount of teams that have gotten extremely lucky, and the Packers are really the only one. I mean, they trade for Brett Favre, and then they get Aaron Rodgers. They freaking hit the bingo hall, and they should have won more by now. But they just rest on their laurels and say, "Yeah, we got one of the greatest quarterbacks. We'll be in it every year until the guy gets hurt and breaks his collarbone, and then you don't know what to do." So that's why you got to keep a guy like Carson Wentz, because you know what he can have. Yeah. If he struggles next year, so be it. You still got 2 more years on the contract, including a 5th-year option. You've seen the potential in Carson Wentz, and he showed it this past year. Nick Foles is about as good as it gets.
Do you think Carson Wentz is better than Nick Foles?
Yes.
How many Super Bowls Carson Wentz won? How many playoff games has Carson Wentz won?
But you're comparing a guy that's been in the league for 6 or 7 years and to a guy that's only in year 2.
Exactly. And Foles is better.
So Trent Dilfer is better than Dan Marino.
No, it's different. They were on different teams. Smoke.
No, you're looking at you're comparing Super Bowls.
Smoke,
you're comparing Super Bowls.
Smoke. See,
so you can
stop talking. Just stop talking. I'm gonna unplug your mic if you don't stop talking for 2 seconds. Because all I want you to do is tell you're making a comparison that isn't the same. You're comparing apples and oranges. They're both fruit. Dilfer and
you were comparing Super Bowls and playoff wins.
Smoke.
I'm sorry.
Let me finish talking. I'm going to take the microphone away from you if you don't let me finish. I swear to God, dude. Calm down and let me finish.
I'm calm.
No, you're not. You won't let me finish talking.
Well, it's because you're making stupid points.
I told you to stop talking.
It's real mature.
Smoke, if you don't stop talking and let me finish the point, it's time for a break, JP. Go to break.
Visit Campers Inn RV in Kings Mountain for sweet savings on your dream RV. You'll fall in love with their incredible deals on motorhomes, travel trailers, fifth wheels, and more. They've got top brand names like Forest River FR3 Class A's, Palomino Columbuses, and Campers Inn RV exclusives like the Cruiser Embrace and the Forest River Acadia. Over 70 new and pre-owned RVs on site, and they're passionate about their 5-star service. Hurry in and save big at Campers Inn RV, Kings Mountain, the RVer's trusted resource. Highway 161 South at I-85, online at campersinn.com.
NASCAR racing returns.
Like a bunch of caged animals finally getting let out after 3 months.
Revved up with the annual preseason appetizer.
Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano bobbing and weaving.
Live from Daytona Beach.
This invitational-style exhibition race.
Drafting up from Logano. Hamlin blocks him and they crash.
The Advance Auto Parts Clash.
Fighting for every piece of real estate.
Sunday afternoon at 2 on the Motor Racing Network.
The Advance Auto Parts Clash Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race from Daytona International Speedway. Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock on Carolina Country, 1590 AM WCSL, and online at KTCBroadcasting.com.
Let your ideas grow at the Southern Spring Home and Garden Show, February 23rd through 25th and March 2nd through 4th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. With hundreds of experts all under one roof, this is the place to find great deals, new ideas, and practical advice. See Vern Yip of TLC's Trading Spaces. Plus, explore thousands of square feet of landscaping and florals in Bellegarde Gardens. From kitchens and baths to landscaping and more. Don't miss the Southern Spring Home and Garden Show. Buy tickets online and save $2 at charlottespringhomeandgardenshow.com.
When you shop our local advertisers, be sure to tell them you heard it on the radio. That way they'll know that their radio dollars they spend works for them and you too. Even in today's fast-moving world, radio remains the leading media to reach more people. 93% of Americans listen to AM/FM radio over the air. TV viewership is 89%, smartphone use is 83%, and personal computer use is 50%. So if you're a business owner, reach more people with the power of radio. If you don't tell it, you can't sell it. See the power of radio. WHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, WCSL Cherryville. Online at KTCBroadcasting.com.
There you go, Ann. Your new account is now open. Just one more little thing.
Here's your card.
What was that?
It's my new bank. Every time I turn around, I get hit with another fee.
You need to get an account at Carolina Federal Credit Union.
She's right.
Tired of getting hit by bank fees? Switch to Carolina Federal Credit Union today. Make those pains go away.
Here's your receipt.
The Orange Opportunity Sales Event is underway at Parker Farm Service in Kings Mountain. Come in now and ask about 0%